Okay, in this video we will be discussing how to use all the different angle vocabulary that we learned last class and how to apply it and how it affects us. So last class we talked about alternate exterior, alternate interior, corresponding, consecutive interior, and consecutive exterior. Right? But we also have our friends the vertical pair and we have linear pair returning. For now we're going to focus on these four. Okay? So all four of these, alternate exterior angles, alternate interior angles, corresponding angles, and vertical angles are going to be all congruent. Okay? So what that means is, for example, my alternate exterior angle, I have angle 1 and angle 7 here. Okay? So angle 1 and angle 7 are outside the lines, just like they were before, but they're also exterior, which means if we notice, they are both our big angle, or our obtuse angle. Okay? So angle 1 and angle 7 are both big, which means they match, so they should be the same. So our other alternate exterior angle, if we notice here, angle 4 and angle 6, those are both acute. So we could say angle 4 is congruent to angle 6, like so. Those are both acute. And so if you notice with all of our angles that we'll see, for example, 1 and 7, big and big. 4 and 6, small and small. They're the same. I have the same classification of angle. I have 2 acute angles or 2 obtuse. Now, if we look at alternate interior, we'll see the same thing. 2 and 8 are both acute. So we can say 2 and 8 are both acute. Therefore, they are congruent. And 5 and 3 are both obtuse. And so they are congruent. Again, we have big and big, small and small, matching each other. Okay? Our corresponding, if you remember, are which quadrant are they in? If we see in quadrant 1 here, we have angle 1 and angle 5. Notice I've made them both red already. Notice they're also both obtuse, showing that they're congruent. Our other one in angle quadrant 4 here, we have 2 and 6. Notice they're both blue, and they are congruent because they are in the same. They're both acute. Okay. In quadrant 2 over here, I have 4 and 8. Notice both acute, both congruent, both in blue. Okay. And lastly, 3 and 7. So we could say angle 2 is congruent to angle 8. And lastly, we can say angle 3 is congruent to angle 7. Okay? Because quadrant 3, both obtuse, therefore both congruent. Lastly, we talked in Unit 1 about vertical angles. Remember, vertical angles are across from each other. So as we see, 1 and 3 are across from each other. And notice I already have them both red, and they're both obtuse. So they're congruent. Notice 2 and 4 also across from each other, both in blue, both acute, also congruent. So we can also see that 5 and 7 here across from each other, both obtuse, both in red already. So we can say that they are congruent. And lastly, we can say that angle 6 is congruent to angle 8, as they are both across from each other. And so that is all 4 out of the 7 different vocab words that we were going to talk about in this video, because all 4 of those are congruent. Remember, if 2 angles are big, then big equals big. If 2 angles are small, then small equals small. Or another way to think about it, obtuse matches with obtuse, and acute matches with acute. However, the thing that we have to know is that our lines are parallel. These rules only work if the lines are parallel. So, lines must be parallel. Okay? That is the key thing. These rules only apply to lines that are parallel and being cut by a transversal. And that's that. In the next video, we'll finish up with the last three: consecutive exterior, consecutive interior, and linear pair.